Welcome to Echoes of Fate, where every choice casts a shadow and every fate leaves an echo. What if your survival came at the cost of another's life? Would you confess the truth, even if it meant destroying everything you built? Or would you carry the lie forever, letting guilt rot the heart that beats because someone else's doesn't? This is the story of David Halpern and the secret that haunted him. It was winter, the kind that makes steel groan in the cold. Train 418 left the station at 6:42 p.m., a line of yellow-lit windows gliding through the night. Inside, commuters with tired faces, parents carrying backpacks, students with earbuds drowning the world. David Halpern sat near the middle car, 34 years old, an accountant with a wife, a toddler, and a gnawing sense that life was both too long and too short. At 7:08 p.m., steel screamed. The train lurched. Metal twisted like paper. Windows exploded. The lights went black. Panic is not loud at first. It's silence. The silence of people realizing the world is not as solid as they thought. Then came the shouting, the stampede of bodies, the choking smoke. The passengers were rushing out, screaming in panic. David's heart pounding as he rushes through. A man's voice shouted, "Help me, I'm stuck." David turned back, pull off the suitcases that has fallen on top of him. "Thank you, good man." "God bless," say the man, and run. David turned to follow and saw a woman barely alive, blood covering half of her face. "Can you walk?" David asked, looking at the fire approaching and people passing them in panic. The woman managed a nod. David helped her up. She leaned on him and walked to the nearest escape route, a narrow window, and pushed her out. As he was going to follow, someone came rushing and pushed through in front of him. David fall down hard. He crawled, glass cutting his palms. He saw an exit ahead, a jagged gap where the car had torn open. People surged toward it. He moved with them, lungs burning. And then a hand grabbed his ankle. He turned. A man was pinned under twisted seats. Early 40s, strong arms, a wedding ring glinting in the emergency light. "Please, help me," he gasped. David froze. The crowd pressed. The smoke thickened. Someone shoved him forward. His choices narrowed to a point. The pinned man begged, "Don't leave me. Help me up, please." David reached. For a moment, he almost did it. Almost. But then, another survivor clawed past, shouting, "You need to hurry out. The fire is just behind us." David panicked, and he shoved harder to relieve himself from the grip. The pinned man slipped and lost his grip. His eyes widened as the fire licked closer. David pulled himself through the gap quickly. He coughed, stumbled, ran until the night swallowed the wreck behind him. The man never made it out. The newspapers called it the Night of Iron and Fire. 47 dead, dozens injured, a handful of survivors who became symbols of resilience. David was interviewed on live television, eyes wide, voice shaking. "I saved those I could, and then I just kept moving. I thought of my family. That's what saved me. America loves a story of survival." He became a face for it, the man who outran death, the man who saved lives on the face of danger. A hero. Over the years, David leaned into it. He gave talks at colleges. He wrote a memoir, Through the Fire, that sold 500,000 copies. He stood on stages under bright lights and told strangers, "When everything collapses, you find out who you are. You find the will to survive." And every time the applause came, he remembered the man's eyes, the ring glinting in the dark, the hand slipping from his. But secrets can be buried in applause, at least for a while. It was 22 years later. David was 60, his hair silver, his voice still smooth. He'd just finished another keynote in Chicago when a young woman approached him backstage. She had dark eyes, a steady stance, and a photograph in her hand. "Mr. Halpern," she asked, "do you recognize this man?" David's heart stuttered. The photo was of a man in his 40s, smiling, with a wedding band, the pinned man. Her voice was steady. His name was Michael Carrick. He was my father. He died in the crash of 418. David swallowed. I'm so sorry. I wish I could say I knew him, but..." She cut him off. "He didn't just die. He died because someone pushed him back down when he was almost out. Another survivor saw it. They saw you." The room shrank. The applause from the hall still echoed, hollow now. "My mother never recovered," she said, eyes burning. "I grew up with questions, with bills we couldn't pay, with the kind of silence that eats a house from the inside out. While you..." She glanced at the glossy posters of his book. "You made a career." David's voice cracked. I had to leave. I had to live. It was chaos. You meant to survive. Of course you had to leave," she said coldly. "And you did. But at what cost? Your story is that you saved everyone you could. But you didn't, did you?" She handed him the photo. "I'm giving you a choice, Mr. Halpern. Tomorrow you speak again. You'll tell the truth, or I will." David sat alone in his hotel room, staring at the photograph. His wife had long since passed. His daughter adored him, proud of his career. His grandchildren thought him a hero. And yet, under the applause, under the books, under the accolades, there was always the echo of that scream. If he confessed, it would all crumble. His name would become poison. His family would bear the shame. If he stayed silent, the lie would hold a little longer, perhaps long enough to die with him. He held the photo all night, hands trembling. When dawn came, he had made his choice. The auditorium was full. The lights were hot. The crowd applauded as David Halpern took the stage. He adjusted the microphone. His throat was dry. "For 22 years," he began, "I've told you a story about survival, about finding strength in the fire. If it was you in David's place, would you confess? If the truth would destroy everything you had built? Or would you keep on the lie, letting it slowly gnaw at your soul, hoping it dies with you? In the end, every lie leaves a shadow, and every fate leaves an echo. And so, the tale ends, but the echoes remain. Until we meet again, traveler, may your choices cast gentler shadows."